right. Here be our ugly mugs, man. A day late and a dollar short, but damn if we didn't have some internet troubles on my end. That's cool, though. Here we are. Look at our beautiful setup, Jay. You're going to have to watch this later, though, because now that we're streaming on Twitch on the new Tabletop RPG network with Digital Dave, the Dungeon Master, I decided to put a little bit more love into the channel, and I got us some nice looking artwork, and I put us in little circles, red circles. It's beautiful.
Actually, I just pulled it up here really quickly and was able to take a look. Yeah, you did a good job there, pal.
It's still lame as whatever, but
I'm saying, you you always want to congratulate the special ed kid in class for doing a good job finger painting. So that's the way I see it. It's all about the effort.
Right out of the gate with a karate chop to the throat. Thank you, my friend. I knew there's a reason that I enjoyed hanging out with you.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh my God. All right. Well, welcome to the Murder Hobo RPG Show, episode 21, recorded July 29th, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, aka the Murder Hobo, and I'm here with none other than the man that likes to smash me, crash me, and say mean things to me, Uncle J Raz, aka Captain Colin. What's going on, my man?
Oh, not a whole lot there, my man. Sorry. I shouldn't rub salt on the wound, though, because, it was bad enough that you had to deal with some connectivity issues. So, my bad, dude. I apologize. But other than that, I'm doing fine, other than kicking a man while he's down.
I'm telling you, I do not know what was up with my internet. I had 900 megabytes of download speed and 0 up. I couldn't connect to Twitch. I couldn't connect to Discord. My Wi-Fi was taking a dump. When we finally got that sucker up and running, then the cameras wouldn't work. Now we got the chroma key installed. We got some sweet-looking, Japanese, what are the kamikaze-looking background? Actually, I look like my head is the sun, is really what it looks like.
It really does. It really does. It looks like it's, radiating right off. It looks like you got some kind of, I don't know if it's thought beams or sunshine. You kind of look like a cult leader, which is kind of funny. The cult of Gary now. So there we go.
I was thinking about making these little images here like sunflowers, and then me and you, our little faces would be in the center of the sunflowers, and they'd be. Hey, wouldn't that be sweet?
Oh, that would be adorable.
Either that, or I'll have to get Vay to draw me up some donkeys' asses, and we'll just put a couple of donkeys' butts here, and then we'll be in the buttholes peeking out.
That's exactly what we need. In fact, I'll help you commission that.
All right. Well, this is a podcast and now a Twitch TV streaming, whatever you call it, a stream, I guess, about role-playing games. As usual, we're going to ramble incoherently in an attempt to sound like we know what we're talking about and hope you don't call us on our bullshit.
That's right. Today we're going to talk. We're going to go back to basics here a little bit. We're going to talk about we're going to do we're going to go back to some of our older features, man, or just or check them out again. We're going to do a creature feature today. The big one we're going to do is we're going to talk about swarms. That's always swarms are nasty, and I think I happened to bring it up to Gary. I said, man, let's cover these nasty bastards and let's see what's going on, especially in light what's going on right now. I just thought it'd be kind of funny to cover swarms as a creature in your RPG game. Mm-hmm.
So,
also too, we got some community questions we're going to do, and other than that, this is it's all about this is a giving episode. We're giving you guys what you want today.
We're giving something away.
Yeah, we're giving it away.
Bell's
spreading it more like a virus.
Belle says she votes for donkeys or apes. It doesn't really matter, does it, Belle? As long as it's a butthole of some kind that we're peeking out of.
That's right. If it's a rear end orifice of somewhat, elephant, gorilla, some lumbering beast,
right?
And it's shiny ass. That's exactly what we need represented.
That's what I'm thinking too. So, my man, Uncle Jay, let's get right into what's been going on and the changes around the local tap house.
That's right.
Look at that. I made a little error in the whatchamacallit there. That should probably be deleted in the show notes, and then that's got to go there. So, first things first, let's talk about the big elephant in the room.
Big elephant in the room, man. Well,
what do we got?
Should I play taps? Well, should I play taps? Since I'm ex-military, man, we'd end up playing taps for Fallen Soldier, and it looks like the Fallen Soldier that we're talking about, man, is good old Nerds International.
All right. Can we play some taps? Do we have that ability?
I wish I had if I had it queued up, but I could just play it like this.
Oh,
Yep. So
let's try this. Is this it?
sure, that's it.
This is what happens when you're fast in the draw, man. I know how to work YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna say goodbye to the good old Nerds International, our fallen comrade in arms. We will give you a 10-gun salute, but you're really only worth 5. We have switched over. There's been some stuff going on there that really is like, who cares? It's just, it is what it is. And the Nerds International has decided to disband, and in doing so, we have searched out a new home and hooked up with Dave, the Digital Dungeon Master, and the crew over at the Tabletop RPG Network. So that is where you're going to find us from now on. You will notice that directly above my head there is a MeWe Tabletop-RPG Network kind of a deal. So if you're looking to come and hang out with us, that's the place that you can do it. You can find us over there. The cool part about MeWe that I like is like it's specifically designed for singular things. Unlike Facebook, you're not getting a bunch of stuff crammed down your throat that you didn't ask for. You show up, it's singularly about role-playing games. There is an event list, so if you're interested in creating a game, the nice part about the event list is that it will organize it in your time. You get your own little separate chat group for the people that you invite, and yeah, it's got some cool features. It's basically like a replacement for Google Plus. That's sort of not the shit show that Facebook is, where you're just you're getting spoon-fed garbage all the time that you just didn't ask for.
I dropped all my social media outside of MeWe. It was actually I had Google Plus and MeWe. That was the only things that I had for like a good long while. I think I dropped Facebook like I want to say like 3 years ago, or like, and all that. I've been happier ever since, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So
there's just
MeWe is the only social media platform I have, and it's mainly just to talk to the guys, the former Nerds International, man, the guys that we still got that group going on over there. We just renamed it, but for all intents and purposes, it's still us going over there and still bullshitting like we normally do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's really all it is. It's more like it's just a place to go get information, to talk to your friends, which is what we do over there. And, every once in a while you garner a little tidbit about cool stuff that's going on, like the Humble Bundle Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I love Star Trek. I love Star Wars. No need to split them up. I don't think one's better than the other. Well, maybe. I'm sure a lot of people do, but I like them both equally.
It's 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other. That's the way I see it. You can like cake and pie, can't you?
Damn straight you can.
Right. I like ice cream better, but I try to stay away from the ice cream topic because the lactose intolerance or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you which you like better, like a burger or taco, like you can have both. Star Wars and Star Trek can coexist peacefully in the same contained universe. And it's funny too because I pulled the trigger on that Humble Bundle earlier too, and I actually have some. Well, I have some of the Star Trek adventure stuff sitting on my shelf here, the actual hard books, because Modifius, I kind of have like a love-hate relationship. While they make a pretty book, they are kind of like, they do kind of get on my nerves because they are kind of like cash grabby in some sense, especially the Star Wars dice. For a pack of 5 dice, which all is because it's the 2D20 system. So you get a pack of 2D20 and 3D6. And they want to charge you like $25-$30 for that. I'm like, F you, Modifius. I don't need your goddamn Star Trek dice.
I looked at the Humble Bundle. I did squeeze the trigger on that and purchase it. And when I was doing so, there's a coupon in there for getting the core book at 50% off. So I went and checked it out, man. That core book is like 44 pounds or something, and then it's 22 pounds shipping. That's 66 pounds of cash money that you got to give away. When you do the conversion into Canadian funds, and even with the 50% coupon off the book, it's still $77 to get it in my hands. And I'm like, I could live with the PDF. I'm going digital, right? I like the digits.
I bought the... I don't know if I bought it, but I actually have, or somebody gave it to me as a gift. But I have the actual, I have the hard copy of the role playing the core book. And that it's kind of, now I will say this though, it's kind of laid out pretty weird because I mean you get a big chunk of lore, like just how Star Trek operates, just in you get all of this stuff about Star Trek. the first like 120, maybe 200 pages full of it, and then you start getting the rules, and like the rules are just a little bit, they're a little more slim than I would have thought. But then again, it's a more narrative. 2D20 is more a more narrative game anyway, so that's kind of what it goes into in that sense. But it's a hell of a deal, man. Hell of a deal.
Mm-hmm. I think I ended up paying $20 for like all the books, $250
Yeah.
worth of stuff for $20. Even if I never play it and I stick to my ICRPG that I love so much, there's some cool like ICRPG comes with Warp Shell, Jay. And if I can
Yeah.
pull some stuff out of Star Trek, some adventure seeds or something like that, man, I'm golden with the playing it in a simpler system. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly that's exactly how I see it too, man.
yeah. You got
You might
plans?
not use it. You might not use it. You might not use it now, but there's no telling when you might use it down the road.
You got plans for the weekend? What are you doing? Wrestling?
Man, I'm going to try to finish up or try to get some more of the tournament knocked out, because I think it's kind of fun. Like, you guys come in and pick a wrestler, and then we figure out who's gonna advance in the tournament, and I don't have any idea, and so you just depending on who is more entertaining, I guess. That's what I decided. Like, all right, you're gonna be the winner, but you make the other guy look good while you win or something like that too. But yeah, that's the fun I get out of it. Yeah, just go through the tournament. Other than that, man, but yeah, I got the itch to run something else though. I bought the Crystal Heart rule set for Fantasy Grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I know a lot of people. I know Fantasy Grounds catches a lot of flack because of the animation, which I kind of dig in some senses, but I do see where it can be a pain in the ass in a lot of senses. But I gotta say, man, the Crystal Heart rule set for Fantasy Grounds is sweet. And I know people are like Crystal Heart, Crystal Fart, Crystal Shark, whatever. If you like the Final Fantasy games, like I did, when I was younger, that's the way I see it. It's like playing a Final Fantasy, games in that sense. So, piss on everybody who doesn't like Crystal Heart. I know there's a handful of people out there. Wow, I like it. I think it's cool.
You're getting stiff right out of the gate, bud.
Well, I just, it catches a lot of flack, and I'm like, I think I actually dig it quite a bit. For what it is. And I don't like watch a whole lot of anime or anything like that, but I did play the Final Fantasy games, and I am like currently watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm getting that kind of vibe from it right now, and so I kind of dig it, and so it's something I would like to run down the road
Nice.
one day. Would you play in it?
Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that kind of stuff.
That's why you're a good man, dude. That's why you're game for anything. You're like down for whatever. You don't have any. You don't have any judgments like, oh, can I be a rogue with a short sword in this? And oh man, I don't know.
Hey, did you speaking of the MeWe chat channel, you come over there, you're gonna pick up on some of the stuff that we talk about sometimes. For example, Eric Lamoureux, creator of Wise Guys and host of the Wild Die podcast. That guy and I guess self-proclaimed friend sounds like he's self-proclaimed. I don't know. Anyways, all around good guy. He posted today that he had supported some kind of Kickstarter for 3D rogues and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw that. He put that up there because he's the guy that likes to be rogue with a short sword all the time, right? And so today he posted this like an STL file kit for some rogues and stuff like that. And that's all I was thinking is, he wants this for a rogue with a short sword.
Yep. More ammunition. But what about you, man? What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going to do my PAL, Possession Acquisition License, because I'm going hunting.
That's right.
I had it once before. Been raising kids for the last little while, starting to get back into things. My kid likes hunting. My parents bought him a gun. He's got a nice Winchester 300, brand spanking new. We've blasted some stuff with it, taken it out, sighted it in, and done that kind of stuff. But me and my dad and my kid put in for a group moose hunt, and so we're gonna go up to Prince George, where I have some relatives that live up there. One of them, my cousin Audie, happens to be a guide, and so the Thanksgiving weekend of October, we're gonna head on up there. So I need to get my possession acquisition license again. Now, like I said, I had it years ago, but in Canada, they were talking about redoing gun registration and stuff like that, so I let it lapse, and then I never really went hunting because I was raising kids. So here I am, 20 years later, starting over again. But yeah, that's my game plan, and that's going to take all day Saturday, all day Sunday. It is a long weekend, so I got Monday doing the Wild Eye podcast on Sunday morning, so I don't really have any RPGs going on. Tomorrow, though, man. Tomorrow I got 3.5, but we're not doing Wuxia no more.
It's not Wuxia? It
No.
moved over to something else then?
Yeah, but you know what I'm doing? I'm playing a frickin' man, what's the fish people? Oh man, it's skipping me.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I forget.
Okay.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, as far as 3.5 goes, yeah. My 3.5 experience comes from playing D20 Modern.
Yeah.
More so than actual Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we're doing an old timey 3.5 edition Underdark game, and
Gotcha.
man, I wish I could. I'm just having a full on brain fart. But the cool part is, I get to be like a fish priest, fish shaman. And I got a man catcher. One of the greatest campaigns that I ever played in. I played this chicken shit priest. We had a wagon, and I would hide underneath the wagon in a special compartment. Now, I don't want to say it's a wagon. It's more like a, it's a wagon, but it's an enclosed, covered. No, I don't want to say caravan, but do you know what I mean? It was like a luxury. We paid some good money for it. It had seats, carriage.
Like a carriage or whatever.
It was a carriage. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. I tried not to say whatchamacallit so damn hard there. But we had a special carriage, and in the bottom of this carriage, I had him craft a little box. And so I would hit it. I would hop in this little box when we got into fights, and then I would just slide the little door open, the little slider, and I would peek out, and I would be casting my spells. But I had a man catcher. Because I was a pacifist, right? I didn't want to hurt nobody. If you ever used a man catcher in an old school D&D game, man, they are freaking hilarious. Because you could go up and you could grab somebody, and then if you successfully get them, they're sort of stuck in this thing until they make a strength check to get out of it. And if they don't make their strength check, they take damage every round while they're stuck in this thing, and they really can't do anything. So basically, my entire combat was just me running in, trying to stick him with my man catcher, just hold him in place while everybody else beat him down. And it was the funniest thing. There was some things that happened where I rolled 20s when I needed to roll a 20, and it was cool. There was some time stuff. Anyways, we're getting a little off course with my old school stories of awesomeness. Let's get out of here. It's 18. We're 18 minutes into the show. We've been yammering like a couple of kids that haven't seen each other in forever, and I say we shoot over to the creature feature and get this show underway.
Man, let's do it.
All right, that's what I like the sounds of. Creature feature. I don't know what happened at the end there, but
still, that is such a good little music bumper, man. I like that one. Yeah, very appropriate.
It's
well done, sir.
It's nice. It's nice. It's got a nice little ending to it. A little bell rings at the end there. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh yeah, I got my cans on, man. I hear everything. It's
excellent. Awesome. All right, Uncle Jay. Today's creature feature, we're going to be talking about swarms.
Yep.
These nasty. Man, yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, these nasty little collections of rats and toads and flies and piranhas and roaches and any other little germ-infested nasty you can think of. That's the topic today, my man.
We're going to check out how swarms compare across various editions of D&D and give you a comparison on how they are utilized in other systems like ICRPG, Savage Worlds, and Age. And I got to say, Jay, Savage Worlds was the system in which I fell in love with swarms.
Me too.
Cool.
In fact, me too. Yeah, that's where I was like, that's how you do it.
I agree. All right.
Let's get after it, dude.
All right. Number one. I started skimming through my old school D&D books. We got nothing for swarms in first edition. It's pretty sad.
I want to ask you this really quickly. We always, for people who are kind of new to the creature feature, we always go back. Gary does his research, and he does a meticulous, detailed research, pouring through his arcane D&D books that he's had ever since he was a little lad up there in Canada. And so This is firsthand knowledge that you're getting right straight from the horse's mouth, man. This
It's-
isn't, you know,
yeah.
this isn't, this isn't word, word around the campfire knowledge. This is straight from the book. So I just want to let you guys know that
In my
it's good stuff.
old and wizened age, I walked down the long, dusty hallways of the Arcanum. In doing so, I come across a section entitled S for Swarms, and I pulled up a bench and started reading.
But sadly, there was nothing there in first edition. So
I threw it on the fire. Yeah, that kind of sucked, man. I was a little disappointed, but what do you expect? First iteration, all right, so that's cool. So, the first reference of anything resembling a swarm of creatures that I could find is in the Monstrous Compendium, Volume 2 for 2nd edition. There's a shitty little creature called an Adazar, and it's basically a mosquito, but its organization is swarm. And there's 60 to 60, or 6 to 60 of these little bastards appear, and they try and suck your blood for a hit point each and give you a disease that makes your joints ache for 2 weeks. Something I don't understand is when I roll 6d10 to determine how many appear, do I have to roll to hit with each one of these things? Because I'm pretty sure that's how it works back in the old school day.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it does, and too. That's why I wanted to bring it up, man. I want to see how they covered it because this is also a good little way to show how we've sort of evolved, our games have evolved, sort of like to reference a lot of these rules that we just didn't, people just didn't think of, you know.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. Like, I mean, I haven't played 2nd edition for, man, bloody 20 years, right? But swarms weren't big back then. We're always killing goblins and orcs and doing stuff like that. So I don't think I used a swarm 20 years ago, and I'm just wondering. I'm pretty sure that's how that rolls. I think that you got to roll 60 d20. Hang on a second, guys. I'll be back in an hour after I make these rolls.
All right. And one. Oh crap.
Dragon beetles make a mention of swarming anyone that comes near a nest, but they aren't considered a swarm. It's the weirdest thing how D&D has all of these different groups of critters. They classify them as swarms. They say they can swarm, but they don't actually label them as a swarm with their own thaco and stuff like that, right? So
Right. It's just sort of a designator. There's not really like a stat block or anything that goes with being a swarm.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
So, check out this badass fish that I found. The next mention of a swarm is from a critter called a hetfish. Not a hot fish, but a hetfish. H-E-T. Hetfish. It's a small...
It was a hot fish, man. Your character in the in your game could go get with it.
Well, yeah, I guess if you were into... It's not bestiality when it's in the water. What do you call it when it's in the water?
It's called, I guess it's called fish fucking, I guess, man.
Hey, go look up. People have sex with dolphins, man. I've heard that's a thing.
Well, the dolphin too is one of the few creatures outside of humans that have sex recreationally too. So so there you go, man. They get dolphins pull. That's all I'm saying. Dolphins pull. They get theirs.
I'm not going to ask you how you know that.
Nature documentaries, man.
Uh-huh.
That's some awesome stuff. It's some awesome stuff to watch.
All right, dolphin fucker. It's a small 1 to 3 foot fish. It's a small 1 to 3 foot in length fish covered with boils that have a superheated body temperature of up to 350 degrees. Man, take this thing out of the water, it cooks itself, right? So,
right.
And what it says is that these things turn the water they swim into steam and boil your ass to death like a frickin' hot noodle. What a crazy idea for a friggin' swarming fish. Now, they only do 1 point of damage per fish, but if you're near a den of these scaly sons you're going to take 2 points of damage around. Mm-hmm. And, you get a swarm of those things cooking your noodle, man, you're done for.
Yep, it's that little war of attrition, man, that D&D wants you to do, man. Two hit points or 2 points of damage, that didn't sound like a whole lot, man. But when you're getting that stuff every round, next thing you know, your health, your precious health pool, man, is whittling away because the swarms are tearing up your pee-pee.
I'm thinking these things put the P-Rana to shame.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's
they get hot and then they probably do some other nasty stuff. Yeah. Screw these guys. I don't like them.
Well, hey, you know what? If you think about it too, what would be cool is back in the day, if you got maybe just one of these and you figured out how you could put it in your bathtub, you could heat your friggin' bathtub up with a fish.
Yeah.
And then just
Right.
put it in an aquarium or whatever. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, there you go.
Just make
All
sure
right, come here, fish.
just make sure you don't get in the tub with it.
Yeah. Throw that guy in there and let him, heat it up.
So there's a moon horse that I came across with when I was doing some research there. This moon horse can summon a swarm, Jay. A horse that summons a swarm as a magical ability.
Moon horse. I gotta look up what a moon horse looks like, man. I'm sure it's crazy.
A sea swarm is a bunch of jellyfish, and here's the cool part about this swarm: you take 1d4 points of damage from the swarm and save versus paralysis. So I hope you can hold your frickin' breath.
Man, I just realized something, dude.
What is that?
You cannot tell me that Gygax and Arneson weren't fucking tripping balls when they wrote all of this shit.
Right? A moon horse. What are we going to give this horse for abilities? Dude, summon swarm. He's high. He's all high and shit, and he's trying to swat flies away. Summon swarm, man.
Right. Well, actually, I'd like him to summon a pizza right now. I'm fucking starving, but There you go. That's what these guys were doing.
That would be a sweet skill. I mean, we do have the summon pizza ability. It's called, DoorDash or some shit like that, right?
Yeah,
Uber Eats.
Yeah, Uber Eats.
Oh, next up on the list, we got a wereshark. Now I bring this up, because they're talking about sharks that will go into a frenzy and swarm, which is pretty badass. Think about that. You're going to get annihilated. This is as a game master, you want to annihilate your party. That boat goes down. In comes some weresharks. But who thought of this shit? Really? Half man, half shark. Yeah, you're going for a trek into the mountains to do your deal because, there's some crazy giants that are being a-holes and you've been hired by the local town to go up there and take care of them. And, oh, shit, man, full moon, boom, you're a shark in the mountains.
Yeah, and also, too, which half of you turns shark and which half of you stays man?
That's a good point.
No, I don't think it's like that. I think you just kind of blend in like a werewolf, but that would be ultimately messed up. Like you turn the top half, you use a shark, and the bottom half, you still like human. So you dangles flopping around, and you don't have any arms.
Yeah, you're
trying. You can't really swim that well because you got your human legs.
try and eat a sandwich, wereshark.
Yep.
Oh my god! All right, Jay, do you know what a ragamuffin is?
Not in this sense, no.
Yeah, right. Well, let me tell you. It's a scrap of cloth.
All right.
Yeah. But it's a sentient scrap of cloth. Huh?
Okay.
How high do you think these guys were when they wrote this compendium?
They were at least high as giraffe ass. That's about it. They were about that high.
Man, do you have to jump up to poke a giraffe in the ass?
Pretty much.
I've
seen giraffes, man. I've been to petting zoos, been around giraffes, man. They are tall as shit, man. And you gotta you're a tall dude too, and I'm only 5'10", man. So I need a damn yardstick to get up there and, if I want to poke a giraffe in the ass.
Just imagine that thing. Imagine that a giraffe, you had a pet giraffe, and you were in your backyard, knitting like one does in their backyard.
Yeah.
And you left your scrap of yarn out in the backyard with your giraffe. And then, the dang thing just goes and eats it. And then, weeks later, your giraffe is bunged up and you see a string hanging out of its butt. You got to go get the ladder out.
Yep. To de-stringify his colon.
And it's above your head.
And I've done that back a long time ago. I've done that with dogs and bologna rinds. I don't know if you guys had this in Canada, but they used to have the plastic rind around bologna. You get it cut for the deli, and I think a dog got a hold of a piece of bologna one time, and then sure enough saw a red string hanging out of his butt. My mom's like, go look at the dog, and I'm like, all right, let me take care of it. And Buford, he wasn't happy that day.
Wow. All right, man, hold on a second here. Incoherent ramblings. All right, that's what happens when we sort of go off on tangents there. So, back to the show.
That's what we do.
These scraps of cloth wrap around its victims, and when it fully uncovers or encases its victims, they can control the host. Essentially, it turns you into a mummy. When removed or rejected by the host, these things just sort of fly away like a swarm of scrap paper caught in the breeze. Oh man, I just had a terrible thought. Ragamuffin toilet paper, Jay. Not only do you get wrapped up, but you're covered in shit too.
Yeah, that's double. That's a double whammy on your ass right there.
Right. All right.
Especially dealing with that would be that would be one of the worst things that could happen to us in a dungeon.
Right. What if that's what I always wondered too. They didn't have toilet paper back in the day. What do you use in fantasy to wipe your butt? Leaves?
I guess, or goblin shirt.
Wow. Other kind of swarms in the book include dreamweavers, spiders that give you. Sorry, I screwed that one up. Dreamweavers are spiders that either give you nice dreams or nightmares. There's some chaos imps in there. It's pretty straightforward. They're just imps that cause trouble. Shield bugs. This is a good swarm. I actually thought this was pretty cool. Shield bugs, I don't know if you can summon them or whatever, but basically these shield bugs, what they do is if you have a swarm of shield bugs around you, they decide to protect certain creatures or something like that. You throw a spear or shoot an arrow, and these shield bugs, basically with their little hard carapaces, will sort of jump in front of what's coming at you and take the hit for you, which is pretty cool. And then
that is pretty cool.
You got tunnel centipede, and leeches. So those are sort of all of the swarm kind of things that they essentially had in there. We're gonna jump ahead a little bit here, Jay, to 1993 second edition Monstrous Manual, page 206, where we find a true swarm. This is sort of the first deal where it's like a true swarm. So let's take a look and see what we got here in second ed. We got velvet ants and grasshoppers and locusts for swarms in this book. So if you're going to be or control a velvet ant swarm, you're going to roll 1d100 and times it by 1,000. That's your swarm, dude. They do 1 to 4 points, save versus poison, or make all attacks for 1d rounds. I sort of read that wrong. So they do 1 to 4 points of damage. You got to save versus poison, and if you fail, your attacks for 1d4 rounds are all made at -2. But this is where it gets so janky, dude. D&D, old school D&D is just janky. If you kill 20 of them, and and the swarm only takes like a point of damage, you can take. Oh, wait a second. Kill 20 of them, and the swarm takes 1 point of damage. You got thousands of these things. Do you know how friggin' insane that is going to be? So it does say that you can take these things out with smoke or fire, wash them off in water. And, those are the ways to get rid of them. If you're trying to defeat the swarm or whatever, you better find a river and jump in it, because they're really, other than that, you're going to sit there, you're going to be stomping these stupid things forever. And if you kill 20 of them, which is one stomp, you're doing 1 hit point. Janky AF.
it's a little, Yeah.
So, grasshoppers. These are the same as the velvet ants. It's kind of a cop-out, honestly. They really didn't do a good job or put a lot of thought into this. But in this swarm, you can only see 2d4 feet in front of you. So that's kind of like the only real difference between having this swarm, a swarm of ants, and a swarm of grasshoppers. Like, there's other than that, they're very similar across the board, and it's kind of lame.
Grasshoppers just used to obscure vision. It's not going to really attack you or anything like that.
Yeah, this is really what it boils down to. It's just kind of like a lame-ass sort of swarm they got going on there. Leeches. Mm-hmm. So leeches swarm and do a solid 1d10 points of damage per round, making them the highest damaging swarm that I found. But, sadly, they're only found in water. So you got to put in some kind of like land variant flying leeches, I think, if you want to have a decent swarm back in second edition. Right? Yep. Some badass sorcerer got his hands on these things and did some genetic manipulation and mixed them with the butterfly. Now you got flying Flying leeches.
Yeah. Nope.
Rat swarm rolls in on page 300, but again, they don't list it as a swarm. They just describe it in the combat section as a critter that swarms. Right? They just leave you hanging with this junk.
Yeah.
Check this out. I think I got the. No, where is my insect? I don't want my insect. Spider swarms. Where's my spider swarms? Insect. Maybe it is insect. Let's kick this thing in here and see. So the old insect swarm, spider swarms, and are shit, man. I screwed that one up again too. Spider swarms, hairy and large, because there's two different kinds of them. So on page 326, D&D is really taking it in the shitter by scattering this information all over the place. This is the crap part about the old books. You've got a swarm up on page 2, you got a swarm on page 20, you got another swarm. So you got to sort of find them all the time, which was sort of annoying. Mm-hmm. Thank God we have PDFs and you can smash the Control F button nowadays.
Oh yeah. Got that right.
So with these hairy spiders, they can swarm. You can summon up to 40 of them, or 40 of them will appear, and they can swarm your ass and bite. Now here's the cool part about the spider swarms. When the spider swarms land on you, they get a +5 attack when they're on you. So this brings me back to my man, shit, do you have to roll like the D20 40 times and you get +5 to every one of them? Are you really going to do that math? Because I know I'm not.
I ain't trying to do that math.
All right. Well, that's good. I think we're on the same page there. Okay, so that takes us out of 2nd edition. Still not a lot of good stuff in D&D for 1st and 2nd edition swarms. 3rd edition is pretty much the same as 2nd. There's really nothing interesting to talk about in 3rd edition. They basically just took all the shit from 2nd edition, popped it into 3rd edition, and said, all right, everybody, buy my monster manual and carry on.
And then Monty Cook got a hold of it, and then you had swarms of eyeballs that read, the 8 books and, and crapped words.
Crapped words.
Well, you know how Monty, Monty Cook, just, he all of his stuff is like really surreal, everything that I've ever read, as far, but I've read his stuff outside of outside of D&D, but yeah, he's an interesting cat, man. His imagery and everything like that too. Woo. Anyway,
all right, here we go. 4th edition. 4th edition is where swarms kind of become pretty slick. I love the 4th edition stuff. It's like I feel like 4th, and I've said it before, is where PDFs actually sort of started getting some style, some layout, some flow. They look good. I think this is the age of, people doing stuff on computers. Even though I know it's not, but that's just what it feels like. They finally hired somebody that could do a little bit of layout and graphic design. So the monster manual is nicely organized, and the layout is pretty sweet. They have taken swarms like beetles and rats, for example, and placed them under their respective headers. So rats now have giant, dire, and swarm. So you've got the rat section, and then inside the rat section, you've got giant, dire, and swarm. So they're all listed under rat, which is pretty sweet. And again, I like the lore. There's lore tidbits in 4th edition that are pretty cool. Let's bust out the rat here that I pulled up. This is not a 4th edition rat, so I don't know why that's there, which really sucks. But this is a D&D rat. See, I got a little image here for the D&D rat you can see. You can only see this stuff if you're streaming, so come and check us out on the stream and be one of 3 people. You can hang out with Belle and talk to her. She's awesome, right?
Hello, Belle.
I got a couple of 4th edition things in here that I'm actually going to show you. We're gonna push this one off here and hit the D&D 4 E-Sturge. Now you're familiar with I know you're not really too familiar with 4th edition, and I want to pull up 1 second here. I gotta go grab my 4th edition swarm thing. Sturge, spider swarm, shadow. What am I looking at? Sturge. I'm gonna click on this. So I need to be able to read it, so I got to zoom in on it. This is one of the cool things that I like about 4th edition. You've got Sturge Swarm Tactics. Sturge Swarms gave rise to the old dwarven saying, "I don't have to outrun the Sturges, I only have to outrun you. A hungry swarm will chase its prey for miles if need be." So this is the cool part about 4th edition. When you're looking at monsters, they give you a touch of tactics. And then here's some lore. A character knows the following information with a successful nature check. So on a DC 15 check, Sturge, you're going to learn this information or recall it from somewhere. Sturges are pernicious predators that feast on the blood of their victims. They make their nests in caves, hollow tree trunks, or beneath building foundations. Dark, dismal places with easy access to open air and prey. It's cool, man, because, just those two things alone in 4th edition give somebody that's really not familiar with what a sturge is enough to go on where you can actually sort of make a decent, sort of, I want to say representation, but a decent description of what these things do and how they act, and you know what I mean. It gives you that little tidbit of information that helps you decide how you're going to narrate what these things are doing while you're playing the game, and I think that is freaking fantastic.
No,
also,
I've never seen I've never seen any. I've never poured through a 4E book before, but if that's a page that you got showing on the Twitch stream here from 4E. That's a pretty good looking, that's pretty good looking trade dress, and that's pretty good looking artwork there, man. So
yeah,
I can see where 4E might be the sort of the misunderstood stepchild of Dungeons and Dragons. There might be a lot of good stuff in there.
Just look at some of these. They got an initiative of +7, 22 hit points, bloodied at 11. Bloody just be when a thing gets bloodied, like when it takes half its hit points, it gets like things happen to it or can happen to it. Is the gist that I get. But there's so much stuff here with the skills and stuff like that they have. It's just it gets a bit crazy is really what it boils down to. Anyways, I want to play 4th edition. I want to try it out. I'm excited for it. I think that the artwork and the layout for 4th edition is not the best, but compared to the first 3 editions, holy crap, man! This one, it just, I don't know, the greens and stuff speak to me for some reason. I think it's fantastic. There's the Sturge, and I got to show you this one here. This one is called the Shadowrun. What is it called? Shadow Raven Swarm. I got to pull it up on my deal. So look at the artwork for this thing. So the Shadow Raven Swarm tactic. Shadow Ravens without a sorrow sworn to command them behave much like normal crows. They gather in swarms only when commanded to do so by their sorrow-sworn masters, attacking their masters' foes without mercy. Once bloodied, the Shadow Raven Swarm uses Murder's Wrath to cut a swath through enemies. Look at the artwork for this, Jay. It looks freaking fantastic. I want to print that, turn that into a paper mini, and throw that against my people, my party.
I would. That thing looks deadly, man. It looks very, very menacing.
Yeah, so again, in 4th edition, you got some sweet lore, which is pretty cool. But look at the DC checks on these, 25, 30, 35, 40. I'm not 100% sure if that's high, but you know what? From 5th edition, that seems high to me. But man, the layout and the artwork for 4th edition is awesome. It's freaking fantastic. So 4E also included some, like I said, some great artwork for spider swarms, sturge swarms, devil swarms. Devil Swarm is like a humanoid-looking group of flies. It's basically a swarm of flies that takes the shape of a person. And the cool part is as this thing attacks you, like flies, they regurgitate or they spew acid or to melt stuff down, and then they suck it back in. Right? They regurgitate it, I think it's called. And so that's what this Devil Swarm does. Literally, it pukes on whatever, it spits acid on you and sort of dissolves you to digest you. How cool is that for a swarm?
That's that old Jeff Goldblum the fly technique, the old Seth Brundle eating food technique. Ugh. That's creepy.
Nice, eh? All right, so we're hitting 5th edition because sort of that's it for 40. Out of all of the editions so far, 4th is so far it's the coolest. I don't know. So 5th. Finally, we reached 5th edition, and the Monster Manual for 5e, WotC has done us a small favor by putting all the swarms in the appendix area at the end of the book. So these includes the classic like insects, snakes, rats, quippers, which is like a piranha kind of a fish, bats, and ravens. But you're going to find the swarms all at the end of the book. They don't have detailed artwork. They're just basically the stat blocks. They suck. It's no love is given to the swarms in 5th edition, which kind of sucks. They're pretty generic. They set up adding only a few different touches for the swarms. Overall, like I said, I enjoyed 4E swarms the most out of the D&D material. I like how they use the lore. They give you that little tidbit of how to use them in combat and give them some sort of greater abilities outside of what you would normally think, just not your generic attack and away you go kind of a thing. It's going to give you some pretty cool insight on how to utilize these against your players, which I think is friggin' fantastic. I'm actually going to spend a little bit more time, I think, going through the 4th edition D&D book and looking at stuff like that, because I just found it fascinating, man. It was pretty neat.
No, I would say just from what we discussed here, they gave a little more love to the swarms there in 4E, man. And it looks like 5E, they just sort of like, okay, here we go, So
yes, took a big Coco.
4E, so there's here we go. We actually got to give it up to 4E for being the probably the chosen best out of here.
Right. Okay, so with the D&D out of the way, let's take a second to talk about how to deal with swarms. Because here's the thing. If you're a rogue with a short sword and you're beset upon by a swarm of piranhas as you're going for a leisurely stroll through the forest, how do you take out the swarm? It's nonsensical to sit there and swing your sword and kill the fish one at a time. That's ridiculous. So, do you wave a torch, run and hide? Really, what options do you have as a melee if you just have a weapon? How do you, Jay, how do you do this kind of stuff? Because, it just seems to me that that's how everybody wants to, even with the guys that we've played with in one of my my games that I ran, I did a one-shot, and I beset them up with reed locusts swarms. And, they literally, like, one of the players that I don't remember who it was like, yeah, I swing my sword at it. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
You do the math on that.
Yep.
So how do you handle that, Jay? How do you deal with swarms? Do you ever play with swarms?
Yeah, it was really when Savage Worlds came around that I started using swarms a lot more, because it was really when I read the rule systems for it, and I was like, okay, now this makes sense, because it was sort of, I don't think they had them, or whatever I was playing really had them defined very well, because it was a situation like that where you were just going to swing and maybe clear a path. But the best thing that I would do, man, is because you can't really punch or swing a sword or an axe against a swarm. You gotta, man, if you're a rogue with a short sword, you better hope that you're a rogue with a fucking torch. Seriously, I mean, that's how I would deal with this. Is like a swarm, you cannot punch thousands of insects, you cannot punch thousands of rats, thousands of bats, thousands of cats, thousands of mats, thousands of shats. You can't. You can't. You can try, but it's not going to do you any good. Because especially something like mosquitoes or something that's tiny, you can't really, you can't really do any damage to it. So burn it, jump in the water. You can try stomping a few of them. You can try using. Some of them will give you. I think there are some options to let you do that. But really, you kind of have to. You have to be creative with a swarm. You can't just, you can't just handle it like you would a goblin or a bugbear or something to that, or what's the big things in D&D? What are the Terresk or whatever? Where they're
the Terresk. Yep, man, imagine a swarm of those things. They're town eaters. Terresk.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So yeah, I feel the same way. Like
planet is host.
If you got a sword or a spear, and you're beset upon by some flies or something like that, a swarm of flies, you're going to have to run, or you're going to have to be creative, which is, take the hits, get yourself bunged up and do a thing like try and find a bush or something like that you can light on fire with your torch and just wave that around. I would probably let you do some damage with that. But yeah, you're not swinging your sword at a group of flies and trying to tell me that you're taking it out. Spellcasters at least can AoE or something like that. If you got creative and said, I'm going to take a swig of my oil from my flask or something like that, and I'm going to light it on fire with my, spray it. I would let you try and do that too. But on a critical fail, you know that you're melting your face off, right?
Right, exactly. You roll that one, or if you roll Snake Eyes, if we're speaking in Savage Worlds parlance, yeah, that's a bad day all around.
All right, swarms, Savage World swarms, Jay. Let's do it. Let's take a look and see what these guys have to say. So there's my dog flapping his ears. Savage World swarms. So in an effort to be fast and furious and fun like always, Savage Worlds boils everything down to the balls. Instead of having swarms for every kind of insects, we get one single and easy to use creature, the swarm. Swarms cover an area that's either a large, medium, or small blast template, and attack is an auto hit with any creature that's inside that template. So as it moves and lands on you, it auto hits, which I think this is what made me fall in love with swarms, because now they've just become cool. I'm only rolling damage, and in Savage Worlds with acing dice, and you roll that 2d4 to cover their damage, and those things start to ace. Holy shit, man! These things can do some serious damage. That's the cool part about it. They get 3 abilities in the stock mode, which are Bite or Sting, Split, and Swarm, and we'll go into a little bit of detail about this. So you got your Bite and your Sting. That's their basic 2d4 damage. That gets applied to everybody that's in the area. Split. So here's the cool part about how you deal with swarms, because there's so many of them and you're killing thousands of them. In a cool way to deal with how to damage a swarm, what happens is you're just going to take its toughness. If you do over that amount of damage to a swarm over its toughness and actually deal it a wound, it just goes from one template size to the next. So if it's a large template, it goes down to a medium. So you're still swinging away at the swarm. You do another wound of damage to it, and it goes to a small, and you do another wound to that one, and it's gone. I'm like, that is a freaking genius way to deal with it.
Yeah, it's elegant, man. That's an elegant and just a fascinating way how to deal with it too.
Yeah.
And also there's also a visual component to it too, because you see the large swarm. Okay, now I'm making some progress. Now we're down to a medium, small, and then there we go. Then it finally dissipates.
Yeah, you're not hit point tracking every frickin' 60 of these Adazars or scraps of cloth that are attacking your ass, right? Lastly, Swarm. Now the Swarm ability gives a +2 parry and says that cutting and piercing weapons do no damage. AoE attacks work normally, and a character here's where they sort of give you a bit of leeway. A character can stomp to inflict strength damage each round, but I'm taking this skill away on flying ones. Flying swarms are of course immune to stomp, but flyers can be foiled by immersion in water, and basically that's it for swarms inside of Savage Worlds, man. So the cool part is that this doesn't mean that you can't spice up your swarm with a little love from the hazard section. You want to toss in, say, frost bees, which would be cool. Apply some cold attacks, and anyone caught in the swarm has to make a vigor check or become fatigued. You can apply that to them. They start to get cold and start to slow down a little bit. Add some diseases or electrical attacks like bugs that act like tasers, and when they hit you, man, you start doing like the full on I just got tased by the popo, and you drop your weapon. Right? That's pretty sweet. You can apply smoke inhalation rules. This is a thing that I was thinking of. As a swarm comes in and hits you, they start plugging up your nose, they plug up your throat. So you just use the same smoke inhalation rules as they bombard your nose and throat, and same thing happens, man. They start plugging you up, and you got to make checks or take fatigue. You start taking too many fatigues, and you become incapacitated. You die with a face full of frickin' bugs in your melon. I think that's awesome, dude.
And also too, just like the poisons and diseases, man, that they talk about in Savage World, and the fact how they've updated them for Adventure Edition, man. It's I can't love something enough.
It's cool
because I mean, you have your different variations of poisons and disease. You have the lethal, and you have chronic, and whatnot. And you can put that different spin on it, man. Where you can have these bugs either, if they're killer, if they're killer hornets, or murder hornets and killer bees, and all that shit. You can throw a lethal disease on them. But if they're like big ass mosquitoes or whatever, you can really put that chronic impairment on there, and man, that'll make them sick over time.
That's the other thing too. Your poison, which is the cool part about it, your poison really doesn't have to sort of maim or kill. I know that's poison usually does, but what if you throw in some hallucinogenics? So all of a sudden, you're being stung by these bees, and man, you're starting to see butterflies and fairies and stuff like that, right? Yep. All of a sudden, you think you can fly, and you're too stupid to start from the bottom of the building. You go up to the top floor, and look at me. Game over, right?
Man, I would even let my swarm. I would even let my swarm I'd figure out a way to let them use confusion, because confusion as a power in Savage Worlds is that power is awesome. Because if you're successful, if you're successful on your attack with it, you make your opponent distracted and vulnerable until the end of their next turn.
Oh,
so they take a -2 to everything, and you get a +2. So you better make sure you take advantage of that, man, before they recover from that confusion.
I'm saying you just do that with the hallucination thing, right? That's the flavor.
Yep. That's exactly how I would do hallucination. Is I would use the confusion power.
So I popped over.
They were able to maintain it over time.
Right. I popped over to Age, man. Jay, my man, we got to play some Age. I skimmed.
We got it.
I skimmed through the Fantasy Age bestiary, looking for Swarm, and I realized that the book has adventure seeds and hooks for monsters, and I want you to see this stuff. Here we go. We're gonna kick out the 4th edition stuff, and we're gonna pop this up. Here's the Rat King. The frickin' Rat King. Come on, pop out in front of there so I can see what I'm doing.
Yes, that guy right there.
So, a Rat King inside of Age this is fantastic. It's basically just a rat, and somewhere along the way, these rats have consumed like the body of a lich or something evil and vile, and then as they breed into like a self-aware sentient being of rats. I'm like, that is freaking sweet, man.
Is that gnarly? Yeah.
Right? So you've got like a whole pile of rats that act as like a person kind of a thing, and they go around chewing and eating and, shitting all over your shoes, which is friggin' awesome, dude. I'm like, that was top notch. And look at the artwork. The layout in friggin' Fantasy Age is awesome. Here's the second page. I know that we want you to come and check out the stream. I know I'm saying a lot of check out the artwork, and I know you guys can't see it because this is a podcast, but we've started streaming. You can check us out on Murder Hobo on Twitch and come and see our ugly mugs as we sit here and shoot the shit and blow through the show. I throw up some artwork and do some some different things that you're going to see. But adventure hooks. The Rat King in Age comes with 3 adventure hooks. So you don't even need to buy friggin' adventure modules anymore. You just need to buy the bestiary. You go through the bestiary and say, hey, I want to throw this monster or this critter at my player. And here we go. You've got Heads of State, how to get ahead in business without really dying, and Headhunters. And I'm not going to give any spoilers as to what these are, but these are 3 adventure seeds, 3 ideas that you can have that are going to help you, create an adventure for your players where you can go kill this Rat King. How cool is that?
It's pretty neat, man. In fact, just going through a lot of the Age stuff, what they've done, in fact, when we were covering World of Lazarus and everything, they really dropped in. That was their big thing, is they dropped in a ton of seeds. They're known for laying out a bunch of seeds and letting you kind of go with it. The thing is, though, man, if I need to see what they can do in Foundry and see what they can do about capturing like a PDF page or something like that. Because I would like to. One of the things that's holding me back as far as like running Age Online is having all the stunts available to people, so they can look at it, man, or something to that effect too. So I got to figure out how to do that. It's just like, I know if I did in Fantasy Grounds, it would take me forever to add everything like that too, and I am not looking forward to all the data entry involved in all that too. So I'm looking for an easier way to to
Yep.
run Age Online.
Dave did a Fantasy Age game, a Dragon Age game, where he pumped in all of that stuff and created character sheets with the roles and stuff like that. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I think it's cool. Like when you get damaged in Age like that, your armor actually reduces the damage you take. So if you get punched in the face by an ogre and you've got like full plate, and your full plate is worth 6 points of armor, he punches you in the face
Yep.
for 10. You take off 6 damage and only take 4 because your armor absorbs the rest. I'm like, that's actually a pretty slick way of doing armor for one
Yeah,
time.
it's like DR and it's just like DR and Dungeons and Dragons, I think. But it's just built into the it's built into armor instead of some kind of like arcane little. I think well DR is a little more Pathfinder, I think now, isn't it? Do they still have it? Which I'm like it's Pathfinder.
Wow.
Later.
Wait a second. Where are we at here? So yeah, I kind of got off track. I stopped following the show notes and just started blathering. So the hook, the Rat King becomes a crime boss. In a hook called "You Dirty Rat." It's one of the things. So yeah, you go into the swamps and he's taken over because he's sentient, right? This guy walks around, he starts getting minions underneath him and whatnot. Full on becomes a crime boss, which is pretty cool. So the special qualities of this guy: he grows. The swarm grows. It gets bigger. He gets hard to kill, dark vision, swarm attacks, and defense. He's got a bunch of cool stuff that he can do. Much akin to 5e, there's a couple of swarms in this book, rats and bats, but they're very generic. So Age sort of gets a fail for its contributions to the swarm section. This Rat King guy that I'm showing you here is not a swarm, although it's a swarm of rats that becomes a sentient being, but it's not a swarm. And in Fantasy Age, I couldn't find anything where they were covering anything more than just the basics. You know what I mean? Like Savage Worlds gives you the swarm. You can trap it as anything. So you've got every swarm at your disposal. You just add some stuff to it. Whereas the other books have a tendency to, give you the details for each swarm. It's almost like they're just sort of creating words to put numbers on the bottom of the pages, kind of a thing sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it. That's it for the swarms. No, wait a second. It's not it for the swarms, dude, because there's one more thing that we got to check out, and that is the Ickerbeg Swarm. Now, I just threw this one on here because I forgot about it. Let's see how good old Hank for ICRPG handles the swarms. So swarms, they get +1 to all rolls, and they get 1 action per turn per heart. That's kind of sweet. So in ICRPG, hearts is 1 hit point. You can have up to 5 hearts on a creature. So if these things have 5 hearts, they're getting 5 attacks or 5 turns. They get Baffling Cloud, which basically they can, makes it hard for you or to do anything. So they obscure your vision and do stuff like that, which makes your rolls on any actions hard. You've got Disperse and Regroup. So if threatened, a swarm can spread apart, recede from harm, and reform anywhere within far range. That's how you get your swarm out of taking some sweet damage. Maybe they're going to get fireballed or something like that. As an action, the swarm gathers greater numbers, and it can add a heart to itself to make it sort of like regain health, which is pretty sweet. And then the attack. So the swarm descends on a group of targets, compressing to close range in mass. Anything within the swarm takes damage based on the swarm size. So 1 heart is basic, 2 to 3 hearts is weapon, so that's going to be D6. Basic is D4. 4+ hearts is ultimate. If you get a 4 or 5 heart swarm, you're rolling D12 damage. And in ICRPG terms, that is a friggin' shit ton of damage, man, which is pretty sweet. Yep. Suggested swarms: mosquitoes, bees, roaches, locusts, ants, crows. So Hank had the friggin' forethought, the wherewithal, the insight to create generic swarms and allow you to trap them any way you want and give you sort of a baseline. This is what a swarm does. Here's how you can manipulate it into your own sort of evil doings as a game master, which is friggin' fantastic. Out of all of the swarms that we've come across, 4th edition has the nicest looks and some of the cool features, but Savage Worlds and ICRPG by far handled swarms the best, I think.
Now, really quickly, while you were pulling up ICRPG, I was like, Let me see. I know there's another resource that I can look for to see if there's anything, if there's another stat block for swarms. And Modern Age actually put out something called Enemies and Allies. I want to say it was a few months back, another supplement. Because Modern Age, so far, there's the core rule book, there's the companion, and there's something called Enemies and Allies, which kind of breaks down, like, different, it's kind of a bestiary of sorts. But went through there and pulled up something called Swarm of Bugs here in the Modern Age Enemies and Allies. And
Very nice.
it's got a nice little stat block, and actually, it's got a the speed is 5, and actually it says it can fly, so it's 13. It gives it about a health of 25. It's got a 0 toughness, but it's got a 14 defense, so that means it's got a high enough. So it's like, to equate that in Savage Worlds terms, it's going to have a high parry, but no armor. But this thing, it's got like the special qualities. It's got a favorite stunt, which is skirmish, which is like moving people around or something to that effect, if I remember correctly. Swarm of bugs can operate normally, even if blinded or in complete darkness. A strong odor can blind a swarm of bugs. So if that's insect senses, swarm attack. A swarm of bugs covers an area with a rough diameter and height of 3 yards and can attack all creatures inside or adjacent to that area on its turn as a single major action. Roll separately for each target. So, and this is how they deal with, like, as far as the defense goes. A swarm of bugs suffers only 1 point of damage from any sort of attack that targets a single point. Extra damage from stunts. Targets a single point. Extra damage from stunts only deal an amount equal to the number of dice rolled. So you can only, that's how they deal with swarms. You're only going to get so much damage when you attack them. And even if you get a special attack with your stunt, you're only going to roll the only bonus you're going to get is the dice that you've rolled for that attack. Only area of attacks or extraordinary attacks with a broad effect inflict full damage on the swarm. And then it talks about movement and it says optional is venom. Some swarms are venomous insects. Creatures damaged by the swarms of bugs, swarm attack must succeed at a TN9 Constitution test or suffer an additional 3 damage and suffer a -2 penalty on all tests until they recover at least 5 points of health. Not too shabby.
Yep.
I ain't mad at that.
You got to give it to Age for stunts. I just think that's cool, man. When you're rolling, similar dice or whatever, all of a sudden you get the ability to do a cool thing like, karate chop somebody in the face or put somebody at a disadvantage or something like that. I think that's fucking sweet. That's a great idea, man.
Dude, like the stunts in Modern Age are so cool. If I ran Modern Age, I would run it where I'd actually run it gritty. But I'd make all stunts apply, and I would run it gritty just because I would want just to keep the hit points low. But there's a stunt. I think the best stunt in Age is there's one called Maim, where you can decide where you have somebody, like if your constitution's a little bit higher, somebody, you can just decide if you have kind of like the drop on them. You can decide that you can either take out an organ or a limb. If you roll high enough. So like, oops, there goes your eye, you son of a bitch. Pop.
Yeah.
There goes that hand.
And I've been listening to audiobooks because I drive trucks, so I have so much time during the day for me just to pop my headset in while I'm driving around and listen to stuff. I've been doing Salvatore. I love all of the Dritz stuff and whatnot, and he's probably one. I always consider him my favorite author, but I'm sure there's other better ones. But I read almost all of the Salvatore books, and so there's a new set that have come out in the last little while, or it came out years ago. About this guy Branson, and it's the weirdest thing because he's like this gimped up character. He's got some kind of weird disease that sort of it makes him feeble. But in this world of Corona, they have these stones, and he studies this book that his dad wrote, and it sort of allows him to become a monk. He's got this chi, right? There's chi in this world. So when he gets this stone that has this power in it, he holds it up to his head, and like without any training, all of a sudden this kid just becomes like. Actually, when I say it out loud, it sounds so dumb because he puts a stone to his head without any training. After reading a book, all of a sudden he's like Karate Master Joe. And you take it away, he becomes this character called the Stork, where he's like, he can't even hold himself up. He drools, he can't speak, but he puts the stone on his head, and all of a sudden he's like Karate Master Joe, right? Kicking ass and taking names without any training in it ever whatsoever. It's actually pretty stupid, but back to your stunts thing. This is the reason that I thought of it. You said take out an eye. They fight this old one, this old ancient Bofrin, I think is his name in this one deal, and he's got this sword, and this monk is like, I'm gonna see that you're defeated and everything you've done is undone. And this ancient Bofrin guy turns around and takes this sword and basically swipes it right across his eyeballs and across the bridge of his nose, and as he turns around and walks away, he's like, I'll make sure that you see none of it. And I'm like, could you imagine that sword strike right to the eyeballs, like slashed across the face, instantly blind? Oh, it was very. It set me off a little bit. I was kind of like, yeesh, that's kind of brutal. But the interesting story so far. I don't think that it's his greatest work. I think the Dritz stuff is maybe where he peaked, and I hate to say that, but I'm listening to it anyways. We are an hour and 10 minutes into this. I know that it's late. We started late. We're going to kill community questions, Jay. We're going to smash the intro into the outro kind of a thing, and we're going to do community questions maybe next week.
That sounds good to me, my mans.
We'll work it out. So this episode's just going to be about swarms. Let's smash this button over here, and I love this song. I put a fancy little ending on it here, Jay. Here it comes for you. Oh, wait a second.
Excellent.
Right? I actually took the time to split that from like a 3-minute song into that bit. I took the end of the song, which is the part where you hear him smash the piano, and I blended it in just the right spot, and then put my sweet little stamp on it.
I think you're getting pretty good at this editing stuff, man.
Oh man. Okay, well, this is the actual outro music. Ooh, I kind of screwed that up a little bit because I don't want that doing a thing there. Maybe I got to smash this and that. There we go. And then we'll put a little fade on this bad boy, Jay, because I am actually kind of getting good at this, right? So as it plays softly in the background, we're going to say that's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo RPG show. We hope you enjoyed it. And now that we've changed networks, guess what, Jay? We care if you enjoyed it.
We need to step up our game. We actually care. We want people to come and listen to this now.
Right.
So, but yeah, if you're interested in submitting community questions so you can hear us poke fun at you and otherwise not answer your question honestly or get to it at all, right? You can do so at murderhoboshow@gmail.com. Otherwise, send your hate mail to @nerdsinternational.
Oh man, that's only funny.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Oh man. So you can also get us on Twitter at the Murder Hobo Show, at YouTube at the Murder Hobo Show, where I show you how to make 3-dimensional battle maps for role-playing and tabletop simulator, among other stuff. You can watch me do this live on Twitch at the Murder Hobo Show, or your best bet is to catch us on our social media platform of choice, MeWe, at the Tabletop RPG Network, because the nerds took the turds, shit the bed, and they're gone.
Yep. But the remnants are still around here. You can which be in the MeWe group, which is now named the Tabletop RPG Network. But go in there and pop in, man, and say hi to all the folks here that used to be the former guys over there.
Yeah, we got some greats like John Steve and Pete Jones from the Purple Worm and Flying with Friggin' Squirrels podcast, that English inbred from across the pond.
Yep, and there's Tommy Brunell with his most unread blog on the internet ever.
Mm-hmm. Conrad Erasmus Neubert with his religiously odd spots, which always reminds me of, like, you know how you see Jesus in a Cheese Whiz sandwich.
Right.
I feel like he's got freckles of Jesus on him somewhere, maybe on his butt.
Probably.
So this is the part of the show where we're going to ask you to go check out some of the content creating fellow network members. And today we're going to ask you to take a look at a fine gentleman that likes to have sexy time, and someday hopes to do it with a real other person. My buddy Wormfood, Stace, he's running an afternoon's Icon games on his Twitch channel. You can find him at like twitch.tv/wormfood or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But we recently covered Icons, so that's kind of ironic. You can watch him run some Icons when he gets things figured out over at twitch.tv/wormfood. That's where he's at. You can find all of the things we discussed in the show notes organized by most recent at the top over at the murderhoboshow.podbean.com. And then there's the last part, Jay. That's all you.
Yep. All right. So thanks for listening, and be sure to tune in next time. We will have another action-packed show where we will talk about things we know little or nothing about and sound professional doing it. Have a great gaming week. We are out of here. Say goodbye, Gary.
Goodbye, Nerds International.
Ha
ha! All right. Peace out. That's it for this show. Well, let's put a pin in this bad boy.
Let's do it.
I'm going to hit the stop recording button over here, and we're going to hit file. We want to export this sucker as WAV. What show are we on, Jay? We're on episode 21 of a gazillion that we have left to do.
Yes.
All right, episode 21. So let's hit the save button. Is this going to save to my desktop? I hope so. Save. We are still streaming, by the way. And in doing so, let's say goodbye to Bella Muerte. And for those of you that are still hanging out on the stream, I think that me and Jay are going to try and do this maybe once a week, I think. Maybe Wednesdays, maybe Fridays. Because we didn't hit community questions. I'm having an easier time converting the stream into the podcast because we do all of the editing as we do the show. So I'm thinking that we can get a little bit more action out of this deal. You know what I mean? I don't have to spend 3, 4, 5 hours editing the actual podcast, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Darub Patante. I love my channel too, and I also love Tabletop Simulator. And this here's my buddy Uncle Jay. We do the podcast together. So if you're interested, you can listen to me talk about stupid things. And again, we pretend to know what we're talking about. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Jay? I think we might be able to do a weekly show depending on your schedules. Maybe a Wednesday, Friday kind of a thing.
The only time that I can't see me doing anything is when I'm on call. But I just got off of on call, and I won't have that again for another 9 weeks. So I don't see any problem with that. If you want to do this weekly, man, I'm down for it.
All right. Well, I think that our next show is going to be community questions.
Sounds good to me.
We'll have
and
to
actually, we need to cultivate some from the other folks too, and see.
Let's ask Belle. She can submit to community questions. Ask us a question about role playing games.
That works for me.
Thanks, Belle. We're glad to be here. It's nice to find another home so soon.
Right.
All right. Good night, everybody. That's it.
We weren't that homeless that long. We weren't hobos that were homeless too long. But adios.
Adios.